Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new episode of Chatting with Lady C. Hello, Mum, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, honey. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, just another day. Just going to mention the contest on Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, don't worry about it. Don't make an account just for a contest, because we are going to be doing the YouTube one in probably a month's time now. It should be roughly that time. It should be in a month's time, so no worries. I've listed all the ideas, but the ideas and the prizes for that one will come out. But have a look on Instagram. The link is in the description, so click on it and find the picture with the t-shirt. And if you want to play, just follow the instructions.
Good luck. I don't know how to do Instagram.
I think a lot of people have noticed.
Yes. Well, can't do everything.
No, it's fine.
Can't do everything. I wish I could, but I can't. Questions for me today, honey?
No worries. So for our first question today is from William Evans. Just out of interest, when Archie reaches majority, could he reclaim the title of Earl of Dumbarton? And, on the death of Prince Harry, succeed to the dukedom of Sussex?
Very interesting question. Very interesting question. Very penetrating question. I know there are all sorts of questions that have been asked repeatedly since the birth of that baby, and the fact that he has not been given a title. I'm not going to go there with any of this. I'm going to answer the question as if the child, well, undoubtedly the legitimate heir of the Duke of Sussex, with no questions asked and everything proven to everybody's satisfaction. Otherwise one gets bogged down in all sorts of details. Putting aside the anomaly of the child being called Master, and presuming that he is, as stated on his birth certificate, the legitimate son of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, born of her body, when he is 18 and before he is 18 and after he is 18, as long as his father is alive, he is the Earl of Dumbarton. Whether he is called the Earl of Dumbarton or not is beside the point. If he is legitimate, he is the Earl of Dumbarton. End of story. Irrespective of whether he's called a bar of soap, Master Archie, Harrison, Mountbatten, Windsor, Flake, Dake and Drake, it doesn't really matter. He is still the Earl of Dumbarton and fully entitled to be known as such at any stage of his life. And he will also, if he is, as is stated on his birth certificate, the legitimate son of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, born of her body, he will, when his father dies, presuming he has not predeceased him, become the Duke of Sussex. It also presumes, of course, that his father is in possession of the dukedom of Sussex at the time of his, that is Harry's, death. If he is not in possession of the dukedom of Sussex, the child cannot succeed to a title his father no longer possesses. I think that about answers it as succinctly as possible. What do you think?
I think it does. I just feel like it's unfair because the child has no words yet, and they're just taking everything from him. When he gets to an age and he realizes that he might be a bit upset towards his parents, because even if they move countries and he's moved with them, he can still get his privileges. I mean, it's unfair for them to decide what he gets.
I have never before heard of anybody doing what they've done. On the contrary, I've heard of the absolute reverse. For instance, June, Marchioness of Aberdeen, moved heaven and earth for her 4 adopted children to be known as Lord and Lady. And, you know, people go to great lengths to include their children in any privileges they have. I've never before heard of a situation where people of privilege who use their privileges to the not even to the extent that Harry and Meghan do, because they milk theirs for all it's worth. But even if they didn't, I've never known of another situation where a couple decided they were going to deprive their child of a title. I've just never known of it. Never known
When
of
they
it.
have theirs and keep theirs.
And use them for all they're worth. So the whole thing is, it's a mystery, but it's a mystery that keeps them in the forefront because people ask questions. They are still very much in the forefront of the news because of their constant anomalous conduct, because everything they do is an anomaly. And when things don't add up, people want to know what's going on. So it's actually a very good way of achieving controversy and through that attention. Next question, honey.
No worries. So for our next question today is from Kala Ranch. How interesting that Meghan Markle is instantly hungry to be considered Diana 2.0, but seems to be Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, who is heading towards that level of adoration. I imagine Meghan is choking on her own saliva.
Well, I think the lady has a point. Meghan does appear to be insatiably hungry to be acknowledged as Diana Mach 2, and that it's Catherine Cambridge who is, in her own quiet way, going about achieving all the adoration and the approbation that Diana used to achieve. Because you see, whatever Diana's failings, there was a sweetness of nature about her. And there was a humanity about her that was authentic and that people picked up. And they pick up that Catherine is basically a decent woman who cares about her husband, her children, her family, her duties. She's giving a lot of the messages that Diana gave. Not that Diana cared about her husband, but she certainly cared about her children. And she cared about the people she connected with. And Catherine does too. And so they pick that up. Equally, they pick up that Meghan is a poser who, I've arrived, now you just gotta love me, and I'm gonna tell you what to do because I know better than you, because I'm a victim of white privilege, because I went to one of the best schools in California, and my father only was on $200,000 a year when I was a little girl, and then he only won $700,000 and gave me a whole load of that money as well. And I'm a victim of white privilege because I'm black.
She's not even black, she's mixed race.
She's not even black, no, but that's the joke. The joke is that it's all a load of codswallop, and people pick it up. People pick up what's authentic and they pick up what's not. I mean, You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time.
Yes, it's a big population on this world.
Yeah, and she has her avowed followers, but people pick up the insincerity and the posing, because it really is posing, you know. She can't do a video without she sees a camera and she immediately swings into. And I mean that, for instance, that engagement photograph where she's in the white coat, a white coat without stockings in November in England. I mean, white. Oh, God. Oh, a white coat, shorter than the dress, well, I suppose. And no tights, and her back arched, but her neck down, because she knows that if she doesn't pose like this, she's going to look ugly. And, oh, God, excruciating. And when they were choosing the pictures for my book, you know, the English publisher said, we've got to have the one of Meghan in that bizarre pose. I mean, with her back arched and, you know, with Harry. I mean, I don't if you know the picture, but I'm sure a lot of people will. She contorted herself to be in that pose. She looked like a waxwork dummy or a mannequin in a department store where they have this like this and that like that, and then the back arched and the neck down, and you just sort of, you know, it's so a study in unnaturalness. And people pick this up. You know, they see enough of this sort of thing, and then they see this phony baloney, and they think, oh, so I think yes.
It's a model's technique, isn't it? They only show one pose, how they can pose, because they know if they pose this way, they don't look the same.
Yeah.
So she knows how to put herself.
She's a poser. She is a poser. And Catherine is not a poser. And it's authenticity, various baloney. And on that note, honey, shall we have another question?
No worries. So for our next question today is from Tiffany Rain. I love watching your videos, Lady C. You are such a joy to listen to, so classy. I'm not a fan of Harry and Meghan for all the same reasons. However, I am not sure why people keep mentioning Archie's must have been born by a surrogate. Meghan was quite swollen looking in the face, looked exhausted, and had put on quite a bit of weight at the time of the photos. Harry and newly arrived Archie was taken, having laboured 2 children into the world myself. I recognise right away that swollen, exhausted, beat up look of a woman who had just given birth. What do you make of how she looked in that photo? Can you elaborate on this in one of your next videos, please?
Well, it's a very good point. I have to tell you, babies are exhausting, and I know, because until your nanny arrived and I had to deal with the both of you, I've never been so tired in my life. And I mean, okay, it was 2 as opposed to 1. Because as soon as one of you was asleep, the other managed to wake up just when you thought 20 minutes. I mean, it was torment. I've never been so tired in my life. So I get, whether you've given birth or not, babies are exhausting. They are exhausting. And yes, Meghan did gain weight at the just before Archie was born. There are various schools of thought as to that. Yes, she would have been tired, whether she had given birth or not, as I just said. having a newborn baby is exhausting. And just having a baby around is exhausting if you have any interaction with the baby. And in the early days, she got rid of several nannies. So she would have been doing a lot of baby duty no matter what. She did gain weight. She was evidently breastfeeding the baby. And whether you give birth or not, you can be given hormones which make you lactate, so you can feed the baby, whether you gave birth to it or not. Those endeavors put weight on you. So I am not a conspiracy theorist, and I do not intend to. I don't wish to be drawn further on this matter one way or the other. I know that there has been a hot debate going on about various matters to do with this child's birth, and I have to say, I learned a long time ago, don't swear until you know what you're swearing for. And so I'm not putting up my hand one way or the other and saying any more than, yes, there is definitely room for doubt. The doubts were created by Harry and Meghan's conduct, and I am not prepared to come down one side or the other in terms of this conundrum, because I would like Harry and Meghan to clear up the controversy that they created with their conduct. And until they have created it, I don't think it's in my place to try to come down one way or the other and to clear up a mystery of their creation. What do you think?
I think the only way we'll be able to know is as soon as that kid goes to school, somebody nick a bit of his hair and you find a DNA test. You'll have to go to school one day. Hair falls out. You just need one strain.
So I think enough said on this subject, don't you?
Yes, because it always comes back, but we don't have any evidence, so we can talk about it as much as we want, but as long as I say, unless we pluck out a bit of DNA somewhere, we won't find out. So we won't find out.
Yes, so
until that day arrives. So let's just wait until it does arrive.
Okay, and in the meantime, let's see what the next question is.
Sorry, there it is. So for our last question today, Lady C, I am curious about your handsome sons' names. If this question is not too personal, may I ask, are their Christian names Russian names? They are beautiful names, and do they have a special significance or meaning? And why did you choose to give them your maiden name instead of your married name? Thank you in advance if you choose to answer these questions. I always find your videos intriguing. Cheers from Canada. Cheers.
Well, that's sweet. That's a very nice question. Well,
my name's not Misha.
Yeah. The boys' nicknames are Russian. Misha is short for Michael. Misha's names are...
And it's M-I-S-H-A.
Yeah.
Because I still have friends that I've known for over, 20 years now? They still write it with a C, so... try to get it out there. It's an S instead of a C.
C used to be for a girl,
yes.
and S for a boy, but of course nowadays anything goes.
Anything goes.
So, Misha is the nickname for Michael, and Dima is the nickname for Dmitri.
Mm.
Dmitri is a very Russian name. It's also a Greek name. It's actually originally a Greek name. Many of the Russian names, like Xenia, are Greek.
Mm-hmm.
They're not Russian at all.
Yes.
They are Greek from the Orthodox Church that traveled upwards and ended up in Russia. And both my boys were named primarily with names that meant something to me and that had some significance in our family. In families like ours, we normally name children of previous holders of names. Misha is Michael number most likely 27.
I looked it up, it probably is that.
And I'm surrounded by Michaels and have always been. My brother-in-law's name is Michael.
Uncle Mickey is Michael.
Uncle Mickey was Michael. Daddy was Michael.
Grandpa was Michael.
Daddy's uncle was Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just in these generations, without going further back. There are endless Michaels in our family. There are not as many Dimitris, but
Yes.
but Dimitri is also a very classical Orthodox name. And our driver, his name was Volodya Helicopter, I called him. Because he was Volodya. He could get anywhere in, the traffic in St. Petersburg was horrendous, but he always managed to somehow do it. So I called him, he'd been a neuroscientist, and he, with the downfall of communism, lost his job and was driving us. And his son was called Dima, and he was so sweet that I thought Dima is such a nice nickname for a child. And I'd rarely gone for one and come back with two, so I had to split the names and come up with other names. So the names I had decided were, to a large extent, apportioned partly to you and partly to Dima, and then I just sort of added. And so each of the children has 4 names. Each of them has some Russian names, some non-Russian names. Misha's name is Michael in the English version. But, relations of ours have it in the French version, in the Russian version. And I named them with my maiden name as well as my married surname, because in Russia, a child who does not have a father inherits all the rights of his maternal grandfather. And there are various maternal rights that you children could inherit under the old Russian system, both Tsarist and actually communist, funnily enough. It's interesting how many of the Tsarist things the communists kept with hindsight. It's really quite extraordinary, although they went to great lengths to completely expunge others. So it was important that you children had my maiden name, and then I also just tacked on Campbell so that when you were at school, they wouldn't say, well, why is the child's name X when you are Lady Colin Campbell? So that's how I did it. But you children, by and large, only use my maiden name.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah. So,
unless we have to, for document reasons, put down the whole name. But I think on mostly social media, it's just your maiden name.
yes, yeah.
I think so.
Well, it also has to be said that although my ex-husband's family is a very eminent family and does have a very long history, my father's family have a longer history.
And also, we don't know the people, so
Yeah.
we wouldn't care less. To
Exactly.
be honest, and not mean about it, we wouldn't care less.
Exactly. And to a large extent, your identity is not wrapped up in being a Campbell, it's wrapped up in being a
Yeah.
member of my family.
And a proud Jamaican.
Exactly.
Definitely. A lot better, I personally say.
And on that note, I'll say thank you very much for your questions. Do keep them coming in, and I hope you have enjoyed this.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you, and goodbye.